Good evening. Welcome to Loud Poets. Please clap your hands, stamp your feet, and make some noise for your host and compere, Kevin McLean.
Hello, and welcome to Loud Poets! Oh yeah, that is right, it is a Saturday night at the Fringe. How we all doing? Fantastic, that's what we like. We do our shows at 10, so we get our poetry fans nice and drunk. Good. Who's having a good Fringe? Good to hear it. It's early still, so yeah, you've got that enthusiasm. Nice to see. Anyone killed a flyer yet? Those knowing laughs from the locals. Good. Hey, thank you so much for coming along. This is our second night at the Fringe. My name is Kevin McLean. This is Loud Poets Best of Fringe. Give me a little cheer if you've been to a Loud Poets show before. A couple of you dotted around. We've got you out throughout the month. And so just give me a cheer if this is your first Loud Poets. And you're already doing so well. Good. Someone else must have trained you already. Thanks to them. This is, Loud Poets, and we do poetry, we do spoken word, we do all sorts of wonderful words aimed at you. A whole array of wonderful talent this evening. Throughout the whole run, we have some of the very best of the UK spoken word. It is going to be phenomenal. We are going to get our poets on. They are going to introduce themselves. We're going to play some poetry jukebox, and we are going to have some wonderful feature sets. Does that sound like a good night? Tremendous. That is the way it's going to go. We bring the poets, we bring the lights on the stage, and you guys bring the loud. It is going to be wonderful. Are you guys ready to meet your first poet? She is absolutely one of my favourite poets in this scene. She has been a long-time Loud Poet. She kicked things off with us way back in 2014 at our first ever gig, so she is an LP OG, so you need to give her all the love as we welcome to the stage the wonderful Rachel Amey!
Thanks. It was a great honour to be there on the first night in 2014 and an honour to be here this evening, and thanks to I Am Loud for making all these things happen. So I'm going to start with a poem which over the last 2 years it's about my different engagement with nature and how that has changed. The tree that holds the storm holds me, and I who had no need for names would know them now. The tree that holds the storm holds me, and I, who had no need for names, would know them now. That bird I saw, I think I heard, it's black and white, it flies like that, it lives beneath a... You know the one, you know the one? The clouds, the some that scurry, hover, linger, hide themselves away. Do you know that, The tree that holds the storm holds me, and I, who had no need for names, would know them now. The tree itself, its leaves are, its buds, its bark is not as smooth as mine. The watercourse, it runs like it, curves like it, sounds like I... May I call you friend, tree? Bird, cloud, spring, may I? I ask so that I can see you, meet you again. The tree that holds the storm holds me. The tree that holds the storm holds me, and the tree that holds the storm holds us, and we have so much need. We have to know, to name, to meet, to hold it now. The tree that holds the storm holds us, and we must hold it now. Thank you.
Incredible stuff. Our next poet is an absolute icon of the UK scene. She has been doing incredible work for a long time. She is up at Edinburgh Fringe with her wonderful show, Musclebound, which we caught the other day. I absolutely recommend going to check it out. Please put your hands together. Give a big Loud Poets welcome to the wonderful Rosy Carrick!
Hello. This is so bizarre. I thought we'd be up in the shop, but we're here. There's like a whole venue. Excuse the sort of slightly shitty these things. It's normally in quite a cool-looking folder, but I'm counterbalancing it with a cool-looking book. And I'm going to start off with a poem called Autophobia that I wrote when I moved to Norwich for a year, moved back to Brighton after that, and suddenly everything in my life, it was in COVID times, didn't exist anymore. Even my cat had died. I know, pretty sad. The worst thing was I was watching hardcore pornography when she died. It would have been the last thing she heard. It's awful. Didn't tell my daughter that. Anyway, so this is a poem I wrote at that time. It's called Autophobia. I've always wondered what tips a person over into thinking an all beige outfit is a great idea. But hey, I'm saving my breath to cool my own 2x2 metre box room in Norwich porridge. What could be sadder? A teetotal vegan ordering indoor trousers and wearing them out. Know this. It really doesn't matter how keen a gardener you were in your youth. Premature fruit drop will terrorise you as much as it does your neighbour. It's probably pests and diseases, adverse weather and herbicide drift. But then there's always the risk it's your own poor cultural practice. So what can you do? At what point does an animal anyhow turn into meat? When it dies? When it gets sealed into a plastic packet? Or when it's still roaming its shit-smeared box crate dreaming of a buttermilk bath? I take my naproxen. I do my yoga with Adrian 3 times a week. I'm becoming a brilliant artist and every day remind myself that tea, coffee, tea, peppermint tea is the ideal beverage intake. I used to get so wet over those emails we would send each other, but recently I've rooted them out and they are so misogynistic. I was ashamed of myself and astounded at your poor gynecological knowledge. Old people have started saying hello as they pass me by on the street. They think I'm one of them, I suppose. And my £1.50 Oxfam coat does look like something Nora would wear in Last of the Summer Wine. Do you remember that horrible cesspit where the queuing men all secretly took their condoms off and turned me into a glory hole while you got sucked off by the 68-year-old paunch with a mouth like a nostril? I'm sure not keen to go back there again, but one bad penny doth not a bad purse make, and deep in my eastros I keep fantasizing about discos, luminescent, licking the glitter off strangers' cheekbones, sweating my MDMA out and shouting, lip salve for all, as I plunge 100 fingers into the gunk of my personal tin. But having now been imprisoned inside for so long, scrolling the government death toll as I unpack my weekly vegetable box, it's impossible. Unlike last June, when we were so nimble with the salt on Verity's red wine spills, to pretend with you that none of this is happening. My greatest fear is that one day, rather than automatically chucking the turnip and swede in the compost bin, I'll cook them into a wholesome stew and say, gosh, how simply delicious. Thank you.
Rosy Carrick, everybody! Phenomenal stuff. We have one final performer to introduce you to. He was the absolute highlight of my Glastonbury Festival. I got to see him open the Poetry and Word stage every day. It was a real treat. I know you're going to be blown away by him. Please put your hands together and make some noise for Gecko!
Man with a guitar strolls onto stage from over there, and then he went over there for a bit, and then he came here. Man with a guitar, it looks like he's going to play. Looks like he is playing. The elephant in the room as the man joins the show. The elephant in the room. Will he play any songs that I know? I can't know all the songs. I can't know all the songs. There's too many. I can't know all the songs. I can't know all the songs. We get a woo in the place. Very nice woo. Picture the scene, you're around the house of an author. Let's just say you're really good friends with their daughter. You wouldn't spoil what had been a nice eve by asking them to recite War and Peace. Can't know all the songs. I can't know all the songs. Back at school and you're just sniggering all through a lesson in sexual health. The teacher says if you insist on talking, you can teach the whole class yourself. You just roll your eyes and to everyone's surprise say, yeah, I'll give it a go. But it goes quite badly, unbelievably rapidly, like a PGC is exposed. So let the teachers run the syllabus and let me do my set list. I can't know all the songs, can't know all the songs. Not a jukebox, I'm a man. There's a heart, not a selection of songs under my surface. We could have something really great if you treat me like a human, not a streaming service. Spotify, not a guy. Apple Music won't keep Shania Twain warm on a long, cold, lonely night. I can't know all the songs. Do you know that song? Can't know all the... It's a good song. Can't know all the songs. I can't know all the songs. Bad news, sadly, you've been injured really badly. Prognosis isn't the best. You wouldn't ask the doctor, look, I know you know a lot, but do you do surgical requests? You just let them do what they're trained for years to do. Can't know all the songs. Can't know all the songs. A little while ago, I was playing a show. Something happened I didn't expect. Halfway through what I planned to do, someone shouted, sing a song about sex. Now in some places, people ask for oasis. I respond with poise and patter. But this was the first time I'd had someone request general subject matter. I can't know your imagined song. Can't know all the songs. Just because I've got a guitar doesn't mean I know a specific song that you might want to hear right now. You can go to an Indian restaurant and ask for an omelette. Actually, you might. I can't actually see anyone. 20 years from now, this song actually became a worldwide hit. Something really resonated with the sort of people who buy music from supermarkets. I was sat around a campfire, had an acoustic guitar, I was strumming along. Someone said, sorry to be that guy, but could you play Can't Know All the Songs? It was conflicting. Now, if I had a bigger budget while I'm touring around, what would happen now is a gospel choir would enter here and they'd sing this in 3-part harmony. He can't know all the songs. He can't know all the songs. Obviously, I can't do all the harmonies. But what I thought would be good is if you could do that to the end of the song. Can you do it now? He can't know all the songs. Can't know all the songs. If you could chuck in harmonies, that'd be great. Can't know all the songs. I can't do it. An interesting interpretation of harmonies. Thank you.
Phenomenal stuff. Those are our 3 incredible performers. It is going to be a wild ride this evening. I think we're up for a good one. Are you guys excited to see more of the poets? Tremendous, tremendous. Well, it's, kind of unfair that they get to introduce themselves. There's a lot of preparation time. That doesn't seem like a true test of their poetic prowess. So we thought we would throw a little game at them we like to call Poetry Jukebox. We are going to invite our 3 wonderful performers to line up at the back of the stage here, and we will throw random prompts up on the screen. They will have to crowbar a piece of work into that theme by jumping forward to the mic. Does everyone follow? You've all seen Mock the Week. Good. Please don't tell the BBC. Fringe is expensive enough. Cool. Can you please give a round of applause to all our poets as they go to the stage? And the return of gladiators has made this next bit topical, which is good. Poets, are you ready? Yes. Audience, are you ready? Good, good, good. Audience showing you guys up. All right, Roddy, can we have the first category, please? Sex.
Please. This is a very appropriately short poem entitled One Night Stand. There was I, scrubbing my fanny with a flannel. There was you, puking like a drain. I remember enough of what happened next to thank God I've never seen you again.
This is the kind of round where you get to know your poets. Roddy, can we have another category, please? Dream. Ooh. Gecko's swithering.
I'm constantly dreaming about EastEnders. Good evening, my name's Mr. Mitchell. More specifically, I'm a Grant. I've been a Grant for as long as I can remember. I was a Grant long before I was an EastEnder. People think I probably love EastEnders, are you kidding? I flipping hate EastEnders. They kick me out, cause I'm a Grant. If only I was a Phil. Nobody likes me cause I'm a Grant. It's pretty hard being an I'm a Grant. I take all the jobs nobody wants, like being brothers with Phil. Nobody likes me cause I'm a Grant. It's pretty hard being an I'm a Grant. I take all the jobs nobody wants. And they said they do want them once I've already done them for much less money than they would have been prepared to do them for. I see them on the telly talking about me. They think I must be stupid and that I can't see. They say I hang around in I'm a Grant gangs. Well, technically I have been involved with a few gangs, but that's my job, documenting them for Sky now. Don't spread rumours, you got the wrong guy now. The BBC presenting jobs are gonna clear balding. Sky's the only place left for I'm a Grants that are balding. Nobody likes me cause I'm a Grant. It's pretty hard being an I'm a Grant. I take all the jobs nobody wants, like being brothers with Phil. Nobody likes me cause I'm a Grant. It's pretty hard being an I'm a Grant. I take all the jobs nobody wants. Then they said they do want them once I've already done them. It's easy to judge me, but don't be so hasty. What if your parents had looked down at that baby and said, can you think of a better name? Cause I can't. That one can be Phil. Phil can get any job that he wants, provided it's continued to be in EastEnders. But job prospects are pretty scant for that little scamp named Grant. But I've got a secret weapon when nobody was looking. Everybody seems to dig my cooking. They hate everything that I stand for. But Jesus, when I mix that cumin and the coriander, now everybody loves I'm a Grant. Cause I cook for them just like a Grant. They look past the fact that I'm a Grant. Now they all just hate Phil.
Oh, Gecko, you are going to be gutted when EastEnders comes up next. Roddy, can we have another category, please? Moon. Really, none of the poets have a moon poem.
If we're talking about mooning, but at the front, sort of. This is a true story, actually. This is what love looks like in EastEnders, I was going to say. Not in EastEnders. Weirdly, the word I was looking for was Lincolnshire. What's the fucking... there it is, yes. Ferroequinology, it's called. Just fancy word for train spotters. And I'll start it with a quote from Norman Baker. Train spotting may be an activity of limited and indeed questionable appeal, but it is not a criminal offence, and it is not a terrorist threat. He said that in 2009, so policy could have changed since then. And this is a sort of snow was on the ground, light as the moon, and body parts. The uniform, commonly worn by the British train spotter, is not compulsory, though its basic components are nevertheless formally recommended in all preliminary notes to TLX, an excellent resource for any earnest ferroequinologist, the current edition of which features recently unearthed early photos by my father, Jeremy Foster. He's been dead for years, of course, but here is the thing. Last Monday, I caught the train from Boston to Lincoln. It was winter. There was snow on the ground, and this man on the platform blowing out his cheeks looked right through me, and there was my answer. At first, I thought I was dreaming. Why wasn't this in the last fucking category? At first, I thought I was dreaming. He had both logbook and a tape recorder, mic attached on a headset, 3 spare pens in left breast pocket, waterproof trench, and even any weather trousers. Ankle length they button up or else just zip off altogether at the thigh. Timetables fanned from a clam-tight armpit, and behind his glasses, railroadiana nostalgia flashed like it was now and he was juggling yesterday. But before I got the chance to unagog my tongue to let him know I knew we fit like puppy and dog, he ran across to the very far side. The train from Newark, hours delayed, was being announced on platform 2, and he was eager to see it arrive. I threw away my Twix and followed him over. Stepping inside of his footprints, I leant forward, rested my ear on his shoulder, sniffed his neck, and stroked the Woolworths data notepad tucked into his thick belt. It's set in the 90s, this poem. It did not go well. I guess it's okay to feel defensive. Spinning around, he spat this rant against my face like, "Fuck you, bitch. This all you think. I'm not a freak, you know. I just love trains, live for this machinery, not cracked in the head, not track basher bent. And yeah, I do other things as well. I go to parties, I eat pizza," round like a moon. "I like to dance and drink and screw." To take my mind off his teeth, I thought of that Pulp song too, and began to imagine our wedding day, how we would talk of this first meeting during the speeches, recreate its brilliant drama word for word, not even edit it clean for the children or elderly relatives. Then, kneeling down at his feet in the snow, my tongue as hot as Shakira, I asked him, "Please, will you make me a chokey like the one Miss Trunchbull has in that Roald Dahl book called Matilda? Full of nails and broken glass, and me inside all cut to bloody, stranded, naked, standing straight for hours in the dark." The silence made my clothes fall off. A tortoise in my chest, and he said finally, "But what about my almost crippling fondness for machinery? Surely you don't think a vintage train aficionado has the time to build this chokey just for you," thinking fast like a special agent. I said, "Don't you know my face? You know my father's Jeremy Foster. That makes you my legal guardian according to the railway etiquette of 62. And he, beginning to cry, said, "Then I guess I'll have to try to." Then the Newark train arrived, and he recorded its model and number next to the time, and I got back to my feet and brushed the snow away from my bruised knees and touched his cheek as his face jerked and his hot sperm shot through those twitching pants that later my hands, ecstatic, would start to remove. Thanks.
Amazing stuff, amazing stuff. Can we get a big round of applause for all of our poets? As they fade back into the darkness. Good. Guys, that was Poetry Jukebox, and we are about to jump onto our feature sets. But to give our poets a little time just to collect themselves, get their thoughts prepared, I thought I would just take the minute to mention that upstairs, as you're leaving, we have a kind of stall set up with lots of flyers, maybe some books if our artists have them with them. I'm not sure exactly what they've got, but any books we do have on sale will be up there. And we have a mailing list sort of sign up, and we're putting out loads of information about where you can see all the acts that are on with us throughout the month, and lots of other spoken word shows as well. We really want to try and promote spoken word at the Fringe. It is the smallest section of the Fringe, but I think it really puts out some of the best work. So if you are interested in staying up to date on spoken word during the Fringe and the rest of the year, then do go and sign up to the mailing list. We would massively appreciate it. But for now, we are going to move on to our feature sets. Are you guys ready for that? You were doing so well earlier. I'm going to need you to get that energy back. Come on, are you ready for that? Then please put your hands together and welcome back to the stage the one, the only Rachel Amey!
Thank you kindly. I've got 4 pieces that I want to read in this part, and the first one came from a morning earlier on this year. I was freelance working and I was booked at a school, and when I arrived they said I wasn't needed, and the terms and conditions for that job, a privilege of a contract to have, meant that I could go home and still get paid. So the adult in me was delighted, and the child in me was totally delighted to walk out of a school at 9 o'clock in the morning where everyone else was still in the classroom. And it's called I Run from the Building. I run from the building. I run. I run. Heart as tender as the soft white clouds, into the open arms of the newly arisen day. It's you and me, day to day, I say. It's you and me. I think of my counterparts, resting under soft white sheets, and the tired, warm eyes of nurses not that far from here. The different coloured blues in and out of the room. I'm on a straightish road, not unfamiliar, sun and shadow, hawk and lamb. I cry as I drive as I cry, all the losses wandering down my face, my heart barely able to keep pace with a changing pulse of gratitude, old and new. There's a loneliness inherent in taking the day for a lover. Expansive possibilities on touch and time, yes, but how to explain the human? The intimacies, the intricacies, the doubts, the flaws, the offers, the simple fact of a hand in mine. I go back to places that no longer exist, retrace what I thought I knew, find a peace amongst the grief, a resting, a settling, a warmth with the sun on my side. I love the day. I love it. I love it. And the day, its heart as tender as the soft white clouds, I do believe, quite possibly, might love me too. Thank you. I was concerned I might get hungry, so I ate several oatcakes, which is in some way a good plan and some way dreadful. This next one that I want to do is about my relationship with the word witch, W-I-T-C-H, as in misunderstood herbalist healer, not as in which do you want, coffee or tea. It's called Resurgence, Part 1. I'm witchful, witch-fed, witch-found. I don't like the word, actually. Carries too much baggage. Like an old-fashioned soft-top honeymoon car, marked with ribald jokes, trailing tin cans, clattering with noise and very little meaning, whilst I sit in the front in my new clothes, a little bit too tight, a little bit too clean. Yet I suit a coven. For reasons I neither know nor understand. I have no skills of tradition and law, no herbals, chants, spells. I don't know what the weather will do, how the child should be born, whether we will last the night. I hang around drinking tea and laughing. It's an underrated pursuit. Had I been more solemn, you might have found me with the nuns. We're not that dissimilar, both with a penchant for robes and a nose for the sacred, but I like to get my feet dirty from time to time, and I'm not adverse to honeymoons nor noise per se. Witchful, witch-fed, witch-found. More than a hint of cliché, which means only that I've talked about this far too often, but not nearly enough depth. If I knew what I came to say, it might be easier, but once I've spoken witch and coven, we're in the land of hats and bats and cats, the play I had to read at school, fires, pyres, witch-finder generals, the story with a brick placed in a bag, tied at the neck and drowned like a kitten. We are done here. We are done. And yet, can you not see my tree roots, friend? And I yours? The possibility of fur, the slip of a scale, the moon behind me, the moon, which, bless her, is actually always full in herself. It's just that regularly, there are only parts of her that we can see. And that, my dears, is the deal. For now. That is the deal. Thanks. This next one is a poem that I did on the opening night way back when, and I continue to do. It is called NHS, National Health Service, South of the Border. You don't know what you've got till it's gone. I was birthed by Bevan in 48. Came out feet first, taking everything in my capable stride. 5 years before Liz accepted her hand-me-down crown live on Westminster 50s TV. We pay collectively for her too, you know, not just me, but hey, we were used to that, and I was something new. Every young girl's white start dream back then, when hospital corners didn't mean something you'd cut. Moved on to matronly pursuits, compulsory bosom red tape wrapped tightly around my little finger, then dowager of dirty linen, a nation's secrets held by those who wash the sheets. And now they think they'll sell me off for less than cost. I would elope to Gretna if I could, join my sister north of the border, slightly older, bolder, safer, stronger, but who is left to run with? Gas, coal, water, steel. All my men are gone. I can tighten my regulation belt for you. I grew up in post-war poverty. I understand austerity, but I won't hack off principles and call it balancing books. Do you think the people that cut the ribbon on open day will wipe your ass for you? Do you think they'll hold your hand when you lie dying? And believe me, one day we will be. Do you think these things will not need doing if I am gone? Do you think the first mother to put off calling the doctor for fear of the cost of a final bill will think we signed the deal with honour? I am the bedrock of almost everything we know. Amongst my bones they squabble over lies the glue that says, actually, we are in this together. I was your cradle. Do not stand by and watch them dig my grave. Thanks. Amen. Thank you. And this last one I don't do very often, and I decided to do today, so hopefully I'll remember it. We will see. I would go back there again. That country pub with your parents. Eat scampi, order a half. Be happy sitting on a stool, your mother at the window. Be a girlfriend in any way I knew how to be. Listen to you talk to your father about ale as if it mattered. I still have the wool tunic I thought I looked good in then, and your ring. I remember your mother started suddenly, upset at the memory of lunches with a friend now dead, and I hope I will always remember this. Your father, usually so translucently bored, pilloried for his manner, caught in his head, an engineer at heart, I like to think, was there, with her, focused, present. So that's what it is. I thought of popcorn, heated, rounding into a parachute. That was what had been hidden. That was what had been called. Your mother asked me while I was crying too. It seemed a strange question. I'm watching love. I'm watching love. Long-standing, ordinary, beautiful. In a quiet corner of a pub with you. Thank you very much.
Phenomenal stuff, phenomenal stuff. Our next poet, you saw her previously in the first two sections, but I must say it is a real honour to introduce her to you. I've been desperate to have her on a Loud Poet stage for a long, long time, so this is about as big a treat for me as it is for you. Please put your hands together and welcome back Rosy Carrick!
Thanks. I'm still feeling really bad about this whole gladiators thing. I was caught off guard. The truth of the matter is I love gladiators. I'm this close to canoodling Hunter from Gladiators. I'm doing the long con. It's going quite well. We're slipping into each other's DMs. I don't obviously mean these ones. I think his feet are bigger than mine. But now I just need to get into gong bathing because that's what he does now. Are you familiar with gong bathing? Yeah, I mean, that's the good thing. It's actually great. It's really good fun, but he's a real gong bather and he gong bathes people quite near to my house. So that's going to be the next, quite near, I mean, within like an hour or two from my house, not like, but that, I don't want to jump to that step too soon because it might seem suspicious. He already knows I have a fetish for bodybuilders, so I don't want it to seem, what's the word? I wasn't going to go for that word. No, I'm not sure what the word was. I would hate for him to feel objectified, I guess. But yeah, I'll keep you posted. I forgot to bring any fucking flyers with me as well. I feel like a real numpty because I really meant to for my show. So maybe later on you can all, if you've got a piece of paper or your hand, you could turn your hand into a little flyer and write like the time on and just not wash your hands till you've been to see my show. Anyway, I'll do a poem, I think. Better shut up. So this is a poem I wrote. I was visiting my friend Holly at her house, and her next door neighbour has dementia and kept popping around again and again, not remembering that she'd just popped around. And Holly was just so brilliant with her. And I'd never... at the similar sort of time, my mum was talking to me and saying that she was thinking that she thought she might be getting dementia. And so it was really good to see this kind of loving chats these guys were having. And I have a terrible memory, so I'm always sort of slightly preparing myself for dementia now. But, and so I couldn't help but think about how it would be starting to forget my daughter, who was also just left home. So anyway, that was a lengthy preamble that you didn't really need, but this is a poem called Birthday. Sorry to disturb you while you're sitting with your friends, have lovely hair. It's my daughter's birthday tomorrow. My daughter is coming to stay at my house. It's so much colder in the summer than the winter, it seems strange. I've put £20 in the birthday card, has a £20 note paper clipped inside. The card is for grown-ups, so she must be older than a child can be, so difficult to raise on your own. Are you okay? I've looked and looked for a piece of paper to wrap her present, you see, as a T-shirt from that shop I like in the centre of Norwich is heaving again and again, but I just can't seem to find any. The night before my 7th birthday, I was so excited I couldn't sleep. I invited my whole class to my party and in the morning watched as 30 jellies set in bowls. I wore a stripy outfit, which looked like a dress, but in fact was a shirt tucked into a skirt. There were so many prizes, and except for Claire Rathburn's stupid brother, everyone stayed so happy. But I think I may have told you that I'm waiting in for the call I got from my grown-up daughter this morning. Might have been the call. I was waiting for a call, can be so frustrating. I think pink paper should be fine if she's a girl after all. She's not here yet, is she? Here already? A gift bag would be perfect, thank you. I'd love to sit down. I've hurt my toe. I don't know how I got into your garden is beautiful. Things always make me feel a little bit sad sometimes. Thank you. These pages are organised really weirdly because they're normally in a folder, the old Dean Cain folder, you know what I mean? You know the one. I've had it since I was 11. It's my not yet published folder, but of course now they're not in a folder, so they're just all in a wonky order. But this is a poem I wrote last year. I was just sick of... Obviously I'm sick of women being killed on the street because that's just not cool. But I was sick. It really depresses me how many TV shows represent that as a normal thing. And I grew up being terrified of walking home on my own and actually lived in a very safe place. But it's because you get used to, as a woman, seeing representations of yourself being killed all the time. And it was just made me realise that actually nothing ever bad has happened to me on the street from a stranger. But there's this sort of constant terror that underpins it. And I was watching this TV show that I thought was something really old. I was like saying to my then partner, God, you wouldn't get away with this these days, would you? And he's like, no, this is these days. This has just come out. And I was like, oh. So this is this poem. It's called Cop Shows. I don't always see myself wrapped in plastic, pulled from a river. Sometimes I squirm on the boss's lap and laugh at the office party. Sometimes I lose my grip on the kitchen knife on parquet tiles. There is usually someone following me home, though each time I jump, it's only a jogger or cats fighting over a carcass, and yet, just my luck. Whether I am a babysitter, a prostitute, a night shift waitress squeezing the cash in my denim jacket pocket, the second I let my guard down, bam! The Hessian sack slips over my head and the van door slams. Often, it seems, I am happiest being a housewife, except there is always a strange man creeping around in my home while my husband is working late as his dinner gets cold on the table again, or has broken down on a country road with volatile reception. Remarkably, he always seems to stay safe. Though slight in build, his punches land while I, somewhere miles away, spin brittle as the plastic doll as a child I used to wind up in my jewellery box, watching my throat skillfully slit from behind in the bathroom mirror. It's more complex for him, of course. Removing and replacing his Ray-Bans to identify remains found in the scrubland I so adored to walk our healthy sons in, tightening his jaw as detectives list off bigger, more impressive men they think may be responsible, and nailing all his extra lines while I'm just resting in my trailer, washing bruises off my wrists, having played a blinder, simply ceasing to exist. Thanks. And I'm going to do one more poem. I feel I ought to do it. It's quite an old one, but my show is about my childhood erotic obsession with watching muscle-bound men being tortured by other men in mainstream action films of the 1980s. It's less niche than it sounds. It's called Muscle-Bound. And this poem, in it, I interview Dolph Lundgren and Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's juicy material. You can see it in there. But this poem is one that I wrote to Arnold Schwarzenegger as though he were my benefactor. Really, I did have a benefactor in the last year of my PhD, but it was just this man called Andy from Lincoln. I'd never met him. He just got in touch with me on the internet and said, "Can I send you some money every month for a year?" And I was like, sure. He didn't want anything in return or anything. He wasn't like a weirdo. Well, arguably, I know, but he wasn't he wasn't creepy. He was just genuinely quite a kind man. But I didn't want to write a letter to a stranger. That would be weird. I mean, obviously I did say thank you. But anyway, this is my love letter to Arnold Schwarzenegger called Benefacted. Dear Arnold, that person hates Arnold Schwarzenegger. Look, Terminator Genesis was a good film. I'll hear nothing else. Dear Arnold, it's tough being poor when you're a single mother with a taste for rubber, funding your own PhD on a poet nobody's heard of in a language nobody speaks. But now you have granted the soda stream, we can make as much champagne as we can manage. The seeds we need for our undernourished skin we'll steal from Tesco, and the parmesan for our cut-price tinned ravioli we will cultivate between the toes of our children's fertile feet. This evening, in the name of Terminators 1 and 2 and Genesis, we will feast like queens. Last week it was not so easy. I was desperate for a cup of tea, but the new red kettle Jake had bought me to replace the crap one from Maxine was acting exactly like a terrible lover. It kept on flicking its switch off before my water was close to boiling, so that on 3, maybe 4 occasions I had to forcibly hold it down to keep it going. At times like that, I long for tobacco. But I haven't smoked since I broke up with Adam, for real this time. I needed to trust my resolve to be rid of him and needed to do something concrete as a sign of my commitment. Jewellery, I couldn't afford. And I knew I'd only pretend to like it, hide it in a cupboard awkwardly, and eventually give it away to someone whose tastes I don't understand, perhaps even myself, without thinking. A Secret Santa isn't the same when you work in isolation. It was just too much, so the cigarettes bit the dust instead, and now I am fully faithful to my mouth, but gagging to suck on something deadly again while I have my flashes of genius. I know you know distractions like Red Army herrings rear their heads. It's hard when you have to somehow get through all 937 pages of Trotsky's The History of the Russian Revolution if that sweaty, formerly home-educated 20-year-old you taught last year who wears tights underneath his ripped jeans in support of the proletariat will ever want to have sex with you when, at every third page, you alternately fall asleep or give in to your compulsion to masturbate so that every night is insomnia-riddled in ripe sheets with fingers puckered more profoundly than a walker's deep-bridged crisp. But then you'll always be a bodybuilder first. And this is my curse, as a desperate woman who works predominantly from home. It's impossible to be discreet about one's feelings in the real world when the very sight of the beloved object makes you literally gut yourself with recyclables, and the only advice your mother ever gives you is, well, Rose, you know what they say about people in your condition? Bound bitch jerks meat. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Amazing, amazing stuff. And that brings us to our final performer of this evening. Traditionally here at Loud Poets, it's in the name. We usually have poets. And I never know what to describe Gecko as. I think his show title of Man with Guitar, is it Singing Stories, is like a pretty good summation. We don't have a lot of musicians in at Loud Poets, but I think you can see why we make the exception for someone as talented as Gecko. So please put your hands together. Welcome to the stage your final poet. So give them all the noise and give some love to Gecko!
I have this memory of just after I started primary school, going back to my nursery and sharing some of the wisdom and the knowledge that I had gained with some of the younger kids there after 2 weeks in reception. I vaguely remember doing some sort of PowerPoint presentation, but I've tried to put what I said then into a song, and it goes like this. Just started school, but I'm back in my nursery, explaining to the kids what it's like in reception. We all have to sit in big chairs, and Jenk's got a Batman shaved into his head. There's not as much time in school to just have fun and play. In fact, most of that time is restricted to mid-morning break, or lunchtime, or afternoon break, or this lesson called games. But other than that, it's pretty hard going, and it takes a while to get to know your way round. I've found it's best to play in this place called the playground. Big kids are year sixes, don't call your teacher mum. Inside a tip, get used to using a crayon. Know that you might not want things to change, nothing ever really stays the same in this world. You might be scared of growing up, but I think you know that you must. And there's a whole life ahead of you. Now you're that big kid and you run the whole school. It's hard to believe that you were ever that small. Where there were hieroglyphs, now you see words. You talk about the bees and the birds and sex. You made the house captain. There's a lot of responsibility. You have to pick the football team with no footballing ability. But come September, you'll be moving on. You've heard about homework. You hope you heard wrong. Know that you might not want things to change. Nothing ever really stays the same in this world. You might be scared of growing up, but I think you know that you must. And there's a whole life ahead of you. Your last summer's here, you look out to the horizon. You try to remember what Mufasa said in The Lion King. You're nursing your first broken heart. What feels like the end is the start. Each week's a house party, and everyone's there. Windows get broken, parents despair. You drink like a fountain, never dance on your own. There's inaudible shouting, you hold your friends close. Know that you might not want things to change, but nothing ever really stays the same in this world. You might be scared of growing up, but I think you know that you must. And there's a whole life ahead. There's a whole life ahead. There's a whole life ahead of you. Okay, so you did some really interesting singing earlier, and I was wondering if you fancy doing a bit more singing. How do we feel about that? I'm gonna split you into two. This side you're gonna be side A. This side you're gonna be side B. If you're in this row, you decide what you are. Side A, your bit goes like this. I don't know much, but I know I'm here. So let's take a look around. Let's try that side A. I don't know much, but I know I'm here. So let's take a look around. Really good, but so quiet. It's almost like it's not there. So let's try again. I don't know much, but I know I'm here. So let's take a look around. Very nice. Okay, side B, your bit goes like this. I don't know much, but I know I'm here. So let's take a look around. Let's try that. I don't know much, but I know I'm here. So let's take a look around. Okay, I've noticed that when I got here, there's a lot more of you on side B. Alright, let's try it together. So it's going to be a very harmony-heavy chorus, but we're going to work with it. Okay, let's try it all together. Here we go. I don't know much, but I know I'm here. So let's take a look around. Okay, really nice. Okay, what's going to happen now? I'm going to do a bit. And when I'm doing my bit, don't just think, oh, why have I learned this? I'll never do this again in my life. What's going on? Basically, what I'm going to be doing is called the verse. That's a bit of industry lingo for you. And what you've learned is the chorus. There's going to be one verse, then a chorus, then another verse, and then a chorus, just so you got... I know some people like to plan out their day, so you know what's going to happen ahead of you. Okay. It's been suggested that birds will often choose to fly a more scenic route than just directly through. Makes me question the phrase, as the crow flies. I thought it meant get there as quick as you can. But maybe for birds it's more about the journey than the plan. Forget the big picture. From up here the world just looks like a big picture. Following that analogy, the picture was in a gallery. I might be staring at it thinking, what does it all mean? Just searching for answers in the description underneath. But there's music in the spaces in between, and maybe I should be embracing the mystery. As time rolls on, all it leaves is history. Well, apparently before history there was prehistory, but how did they decide exactly when that would be? We got writing now, we could really do with a new era. I don't know much, but I know I'm here. So let's take a look around. I don't know much, but I know I'm here. So let's take a look around. Who first thought of trying to drink a coffee bean? What was the process that led to inventing bread? They couldn't just look it up on the internet. We're talking about way before, even Ask Jeeves. I take for granted the unlikeliness of my existence, the chance this earth holds just the right conditions for life to thrive because of the sun's position. We're in the Goldilocks zone, feels just right. With evolution, yeah, they really put the work in. So many microscopic legends who didn't even have legs then, just trying to come out of their shell, passing on deforming genes that started forming things at a crossroads of life's enormous strings. Some of those things started crawling out the sea, crawling on their belly for many a millennia, eating out of swamps and places probably even smellier. While earth formed continents, dinosaurs were all confident, little rodent mammals just trying to keep a low profile. Squirming around the edges in a little burrow bedsit, clinging onto a life that you would one day inherit, like a world record attempt for the longest gamer past the parcel. That life made it past all the obstacles it passed through, and now you can feel it with every breath you take. The concept that ironically takes my breath away. I don't know much, but I know I'm here. So let's take a look around. I don't know, nice lighting change. I know I'm here. So let's take a look around. Okay, I'm gonna try something now. Let's see if it works. Can I kick it?
Yes, you can.
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 Can Rachel kick it?
Yes, you can.
Can Rosy kick it?
Yes, you can.
Can Kevin kick it?
Yes, you can.
Can each and every individual one of you kick it?
Yes, you can.
I don't know much, but I know I'm here. So let's take a look around.
I don't know much, but I know I'm here. So let's take a look around.
One more time.
I don't know much, but I know I'm here. So let's take a look around.
Thanks so much.
Oh yeah! Amazing stuff, amazing stuff. Thank you so much. That has been Loud Poets Best of Fringe. But before I let you get away, I do just want to plug some of the amazing work our acts are going to be doing. You can check us out on all of the YouTubes and Twitters and things like that. We put out, we're recording our whole Fringe run. We record our monthly seasons. We put out weekly videos a couple times a week. We have podcasts and workshops and all of that good stuff. If you are interested, please do sign up to the mailing list. Come up and talk to us up after the show at the merch stand. The poets will be able to tell you where to find their work. We'll be able to point you in the directions of what you're looking for. So yeah, please do come up and do that. But for now, can we just get a big round of applause for our techie in the booth, Roddy? For all of the staff here at the Scottish Storytelling Centre, for you guys for being so awesome, and a big round of applause for all of our wonderful performers this evening. We have been Loud Poets. This has been Best of Fringe. You've been fucking amazing. Have a good run, and we will see you next time. Good night! Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, we'd appreciate it if you could hit the like button, if you could hit the subscribe button, and make sure to ring that bell icon so you don't miss any updates from us in the future. If you want to go that extra mile and support us a little further, we do have a Patreon channel with loads of exclusive goodies, and you can sign up for as little as $1 a month. We appreciate your help, guys, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.